Hello again. Week one, part two. Now that we've laid the mindset foundation, hopefully you've done a few minutes, half an hour of writing down your question, not an affirmation, your question. And if you haven't seen that, please go back to it. And so this is what I would like you to focus on practically this week. So here's an overview. So I want you to go on the low inflammatory food list. It's down here in the slides. And basically, that food list is important. Stick to it, get to know it. Do not deviate from it. There's a reason behind that. And there's many reasons, but the main one is we're basically going to bring inflammation down in your body so that your body can heal itself. And so health first, weight second. Yes, weight loss will come and it will come fast, I promise. But the deep goal has to be healing. Energy, digestion, skin, mood, sleep, they are the real markers of progress. Trust the process. The weight will drop off as your body starts healing itself. And sometimes the results might take time. So be patient with your body. Your body is doing what it needs to do for you. Do not compare yourself to anyone else. You'll have people in this group who drop weight quite quickly. Then you'll have people who don't seem to be dropping anything at all. But it's working. Promise you, it'll be working. And you'll notice little differences maybe at first. Now, when you first go onto a low inflammatory, low carbohydrate program, you might notice a few things happening. So let's go through those. They can appear to be a bit negative. So, okay, so I'm going to get you to do intermittent fasting. Now, what I recommend is eating between 11 and 8 p.m., 2 meals a day. So that's an eating window of 9 hours. Now, of course, if you want to change it slightly, so say, for example, you want to start eating at 9 o'clock, then you have to finish at 6. And in this window, 9 hours, you have 2 meals, no snacking in between. Now, this isn't about deprivation, it's about giving your body time to rest, heal, and switch into fat burning mode. If you're new to this, don't worry. This is an easing into situation. So before 11 a.m., we're fasting. Only water, hot drinks, coffee, and tea. Salt soul, I'll go into that in a minute. And we need to make sure that you're hydrating yourself. And so between 11 a.m. and 8 p.m., you have your 2 meals. Now, if you get starving hungry in the afternoon, if you can try and have a cup of tea, and if you can try to take yourself for a walk or something that will distract you, if that doesn't do it, then have one of the pieces of fruit that are on the list. You're only allowed two. I normally recommend trying to have that piece of fruit before or after your meal so that you're eating in a small time frame. Now, the reason for that is if you have your lunch, say, at 12 o'clock, and then you have this is just for ease of me working this out, and then you have your dinner at 7. That means you have 6 hours in between eating as well as your fasting window. So your fasting window starts 8 p.m. and then you break it at 11 or 12 p.m. Then you've got a really good space of time where your body can do the healing work. It's not having to digest food. It's not having to do any other work apart from bringing about healing. And when you are also doing intermittent fasting, you will get into ketosis. And you normally go into ketosis after about 12 to 13 hours. And what that means, of course, is burning fat as energy. And this is why there are certain restrictions in fat with when you first start going on to this process. And we'll go into that in a minute. And so that is basically intermittent fasting, why it's so important. So the food list. The food list is just below here. And so you'll be following this food list, as I say, to the letter. Do not think that something's on there without checking. Because often you'll think, oh, well, if broccoli's on there, cauliflower will be on there. Well, cauliflower's not on there. Oh, well, mushrooms are healthy, so I'll have mushrooms, and they're not on there. And so this list came about when I specialized in allergy testing back in the early 90s. And time again, many of these foods that aren't on the list came up as problematic. The foods that I created subsequently that didn't come up very often on the list are on your low inflammatory food list, because inflammation is the root of all disease. And so these foods that are on the list are less likely to cause bloating or inflammation. They can help calm the immune system and you'll start to feel better quickly. So stick to the list 100% for the next 7 days. It's simple, grounding, and deeply healing. Of course, you're going to be on it for longer than 7 days, but let's just get you started. So this is an important component of why this works. And so the combination of intermittent fasting and the low inflammatory foods creates a powerful healing effect in your body. And that is even without product. So basically it gives your digestion, like I said, a rest in between eating. So this theory that we've been exposed to over the years, that we need to be eating little and often, has actually been shown to be the fraud that it actually is. So by doing this, you are creating autophagy. And autophagy is your body's cellular cleanup mechanism. Now, we're going to go deeper into autophagy another time. We don't need to get this too complicated too quickly. And so basically what this does, it reduces inflammation through your entire system. So it's not just your digestion. Once you get your digestion calm, then everything else starts calming down too. And we're also stabilizing your blood sugars and your insulin levels. And it improves other hormone functions too. So basically, it can help with cortisols, it can help with estrogen, testosterone, progesterone. All of these things can help to be balanced by just these two little things. So intermittent fasting and low inflammatory foods. And then when you put the emotional component, I spoke about in the previous video, is you're going to start building. We're starting to build fitness, health habits. And I'm not talking about exercise here. I'm talking about how our body really loves stability and good habits. So this isn't a diet per se. I hate the word diet. I don't know about you. It's a foundational reset for your metabolism. And most people notice significant improvements in energy, mental clarity, and sleep quality within the first week. Now, I will put a proviso, is when you go into ketosis to start with, if you haven't got the support products, you might find that you might have like keto flu, they say. But also I've noticed for many is we appear to have to keep on getting up and going to the toilet on a regular basis in the first 5 days of where your body's utilizing fat as energy. And there's a really good reason why, and I will go into that a bit more in detail when we go into our kidneys and everything else. And so foods on our list are not just safe, they're actively healing. And they provide essential nutrients without triggering the immune reactions that can sabotage your process. Now, I will say this, is the low inflammatory food is fantastic for most people. Now, for any of you who may have other health issues going on, so you might, for example, have diabetes or metabolic syndrome, or you might be dealing with other things like arthritis, really severe gut issues and that sort of thing, you might need to go into the carnivore phase. However, I do recommend starting this first. And then in the class about carbivore to carnivore, I will go through how to introduce. And what I'm planning on doing in there is I'm planning on putting recipes for week 1, which will be low inflammatory. Week 2, which you start easing out, and then it goes through that. So that's going to be the carnivore to carnivore. Now, you might not want to go carnivore, but you might want to do a few days where you go carnivore or almost carnivore, and that's where we're going to progress. And so the carnivore classroom is we're going to go into the health benefits of carnivore and what's carnivore, what's not, all sorts of things we're planning to put into there. So just so that you know, this is getting started, really, whether you're wanting to go carnivore or not. This is why it's important to start at the beginning. So here is the food list. And as you can see, the proteins: chicken, venison, beef, turkey, white fish, oily fish, veal, prawns, crayfish, lobster, if you're fortunate enough, shellfish, eggs, tin tuna. It says in olive oil here. However, in New Zealand here, there are now no longer any tuna that I've found that is in 100% olive oil. They have cut them with other vegetable oils. So since I wrote this list, they have changed it. So I would recommend getting it in brine or water and then strain it and then add good quality, and I mean good quality, olive oil. I also recommend 2 dessert spoons of gelatin powder. You can either have it made into jelly, and there's recipes for that in the recipe book in this classroom. And so I make mine with lemon. In actual fact, what I do nowadays, because I forget to make jellies often, is I make myself a jelly drink. So I do my 2 dessert spoons of gelatin with some lemon juice. I also put salt sole in it and hot water. And so basically that is a really, the reason for that is it's a protein source, but it's anti-inflammatory protein. Now, in some of the proteins, they can be inflammatory for some. But what gelatin has, it has amino acids in it that will balance that. And so it's a really, really valuable tool. And not only that, it also helps heal the gut and stuff. So this is your list of vegetables. So lettuce of all varieties, tomatoes, cucumbers, celery, onions of all varieties, including leeks, fennel, leafy green vegetables, cabbage of all varieties, including Brussels sprouts, asparagus, leeks, Brussels sprouts. Oh, I've got that there. Broccoli, ginger or garlic, herbs and herbal teas, Himalayan salt, black pepper, apple cider vinegar, lemon juice, green and white tea, spices, olives and capers. You can have limited amounts of the following: 1 tablespoon of milk a day, no more than that. And if I were you, I'd probably not do it. And 2 pieces of fruit, but you only have 3 choices: apples, grapefruit, strawberries. So the portions are 1 whole apple, 1 whole grapefruit, and 1 handful of strawberries. And 1 teaspoon of either butter or olive oil with each meal. Coffee, 1 to 2 cups daily. However, you can't have lattes or cappuccinos because it's much too much milk. So why does this work? And as I've said before, inflammation is behind, it says here, so many modern health issues, is behind every single health issue we have. From weight gain to fatigue, joint pain to brain fog. When you reduce the foods that inflame you, your body stops fighting and it starts healing. And even if you've been stuck for years, even if you've had a health issue for decades, this step alone can start things moving quickly. And most people see visible changes in their belly, skin, energy, and mood within just a few days. And so basically, if we just do this, you're doing your body and your brain a really big favor. Now, you may be asking yourself, well, why only a teaspoon of fat? Because I know some of you are very informed as to how valuable fat is, and it is. And the reason is if you have weight to drop, then I recommend staying on the teaspoon of fat just for a few weeks will do it. Is it gets the body in the habit of utilizing your unwanted body fat rather than the fat you consume. Now, sometimes when we get to a certain level, we might need to ramp up the fat so your body goes back into using your unwanted body fat. But for the time being, I know it doesn't make sense. It's quite, our body's quite contrary in that way. But basically, if we can just start with just a small amount to start with, and then if your weight gets stopped, what you'll hear me is you're probably, if you stop dropping weight, and you should drop weight every day. And I will encourage you, please, please, please make sure you use those bathroom scales every day. I don't want you being obsessed by the numbers, but using it as a tool that you can actually go, oh, that's interesting. I dropped that amount of weight and I ate that. Or, oh, I didn't drop weight. What did I do yesterday? Or, oh, I put on a couple of 100 grams. Or I put on a lot more. And basically, you can go back because it's not just food that causes inflammation, it's many other things, stress being one of them. So the foods work because it brings down a level of stress. Even if you're going through a stressful time, by changing these foods can really help. Basically, the straw that broke the camel's back, it can actually be layering a layer that can actually help your body, you cope with stress, help your body cope with stress, help you cope with stress. I hope that makes sense. The other thing is I really want you to do is drink 3 liters of liquid. Sip it slowly through the day, don't chug. Water supports detoxification, hydration, and helps reduce hunger. And so hydration comes in not just water. Of course, you can have herbal teas. If you want to add a slice of lemon or so to your water, then that's great. But basically, we need to get that liquid into you. And then we come to one of the most important components of hydration, believe it or not, is salt. So salt. The reason is if we don't have enough salt, no matter how much water we drink, that water will not be absorbed. We need salt to hydrate our cells. And I recommend Salt Sol. So what does that mean? It's a saturated solution of good quality salt. So I recommend getting a small jar, and I normally have one here, but I haven't got one. But basically a jar which preferably doesn't have a metal lid. If you can get one with a cork lid, or if you can get one, there's some instant coffee ones that I've got from the op shop that have got like a plastic lid. And basically is you quarter fill it with salt, and then you top it up with good quality water. I tend to use distilled, but if you can get good spring water or anything, then let it sit overnight. And if there's still visible salt in the morning, then your Sol is saturated and ready to use. If, however, you've got nothing left, add a bit more salt first and leave it again overnight, and you should have a residue at the bottom, not as much as in this photo. So basically, it's a saturated solution, so you know exactly how much salt you're having. So it says here a teaspoon of Salt Sol, but it's not a teaspoon. It's a tablespoon of Salt Sol in the morning and in a large glass of water, and drink on an empty stomach. This, as I say, boosts hydration, and it also supports your adrenals and supports your ketosis and supports and prevents things like energy crashes and headaches and things. And if you feel as if you're a bit constipated, after doing a tablespoon each morning for a week, then add more. Take another tablespoon in the afternoon. Don't add 2 tablespoons in one go though, because you probably won't get the full benefit of doing 2. So this week's checklist: fill in your measurements, the templates in the PDF. Take your before and after photos. You will be so glad you did. And download your weight tracker. And if you have the diary, fill that diary in and follow the instructions. This is not about being perfect. It's about showing up each day and reconnecting your body. And don't forget, if it's not on the low inflammatory food list, it doesn't exist. Thank you. See you in the next one.